It's Monday night, and you know what that means. It's Luke Michael Howard, clinical hypnotist and change worker of Lukenosis Hypnosis here. Tonight's Facebook Live is entitled Addiction versus Passion. So I'm going to be giving a discourse, a discussion about that coming up as we allow more people to come and join. If you are watching on Facebook, then please do say hi below. If you're watching on YouTube after the fact, say hi. If you're listening by a podcast, then please do listen and say hi and leave a review for us. So, again, if you're joining us, give us a wave, give us a thumb, or just say hi. Also, if you feel that this is of any benefit today and you know other people that are suffering from the throngs, from the grip of addiction, hello Scotty Fish, how are you? Then please do pass this video on to them. And if you're part of any Facebook groups, any addiction groups that you feel would benefit from this, then please do share this video. Hey Scotty, hey Deb, how are you? So, I was doing a video, a Facebook Live last week, and I asked people what they'd like to see, and I touched on the subject, which was addiction versus passion, and what's the difference. And I started to ponder upon that, because oftentimes people mistakenly combine them and think they're the same things, that addiction and a passion is the same thing. Like, we've been told in life that if you want something, you've got to become obsessed by it. You've got to wake up thinking about it, go to bed thinking about it, strive really hard to get it done, to do the work, to obsess about it. That's all that you think about. When you think of that description of a passion, which is my description of a passion, we'll come on to that a little bit later. It sounds a bit like an addiction, doesn't it? It's like it kind of takes hold. You become obsessed by it. You wake up thinking about it. You go to bed thinking about it. You're jonesing for it throughout the day for your next fix. So by those definitions, they seem like one and the same, don't they? We have to be very careful. We have to be very careful with our linguistics. We have to be very careful with our language, because our language is directly telling the outside world what's really going on inside our head. Sometimes I'll be working with a client and they'll be talking, and then suddenly a word will come out. I'll be like, oh no, I don't feel that. Like, yeah, I was just thinking the other night. I'm pretending I'm a fake client, by the way. Yeah, it was the other night, and I was just thinking, I felt really lonely. But I'm not lonely. Then why did they bring it up? Because their unconscious mind was bringing it up, because underneath the surface they were feeling lonely. So then I hear it. My RAS, my reticular activist back. It's easy for me to say. My reticular activated system is the part of the brain that recognizes patterns, goes off. It's like even though they're coming to me about addiction, we've got to do some work around loneliness, because it came up. Even though consciously they try to sweep it underneath the carpet, like the cleaner, there's a reason that got brought up. In fact, I had a client last week, lovely lady. She was facing her own addiction, and we're talking, and that's where it came from. Loneliness came up out of nowhere, and she's like, no, like I said, no, I'm not lonely. Luke, I'm not lonely. I don't know where that came from. I'm like, all right, that's where we are focusing the torch of consciousness tonight, to work on that thing that you're not lonely, because why on earth would it come up? And lo and behold, when we dealt with that, miraculous things started to happen. If you have joined us and you haven't said hi or waved, you're very, very rude. Go away. No, I'm just kidding. But at least say hi in the comments below. So here's my definition. Here's what's different. Here's how I would define passion versus addiction. Addiction, oftentimes, rightly or wrongly, consciously or unconsciously, people start to think they are not in control. It's like a passion that's gone haywire, a passion of feeling these emotions, or lacking of feeling these emotions, because the addiction is numbing them from feeling stuff, or it's allowing them to feel great highs that typically they don't feel in everyday life, because they lack meaningful connections with themselves, a higher power, if such a thing exists, with loved ones, parents, what have you. Okay, so there's this addiction. Oh, I need it. I need to feel that feeling. I need to get my fix. I gotta feel it. And it's like an itch that just gets more itchier for want of a better word. The longer you leave it, the more it itches, until eventually it's like you get hold of that itch on your back and you are scraping the skin off with your nails because it is so itchy, because you've left it so long, and it's destructive. See, in neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP for short, we have a way of a filtering system, if you will, of personality profiling. It's called meta programs. A better way of understanding people, understanding ourselves, and the people that we work for and work with, be that clients, be that corporations, be that other people we're training to be hypnotists or change workers, if you will. And one of them is how do you most motivate yourself? Now, there's two ways to motivate yourself. If you imagine there is a line, right? On one end of the line, right at the end, is away from, is great pain. The most massive amount of immediate pain you could imagine. Imagine a devil with a hot poker sticking up your butt. That kind of pain. We call that an away from. That's away from. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to get away from that. Get away from that abusive relationship. Get away from that horrible, soul-destroying job. Get away from that drug that's cost me my house, my family, my gums. That's an away from motivation. Very strong. Very, very powerful. The other side of that line is a towards motivation. Towards, I want to lose all that weight so I can be incredibly sexy and attract my ideal mate. I want to make that $1 million so I can build a house for orphaned children. I want to overcome my challenges with drugs so I can help 1 million people become drug-free. That's a definition, if you will, of towards. Away from motivation, you're going to do whatever you need to do to get away from something. You will move. It will be very motivating. But you're scared. You're working from a fear mindset to get away, to run away from something because it's too much. You will move. It will work. In the short term, it will work very, very well. But if you imagine this line, great pain, great pleasure. Great pain. As soon as you get about halfway between that great pain and great pleasure, guess what? You're sufficiently away from your pain where you're like, hey, you know what? Maybe I could, do a little bit of coke tonight. Maybe I could do a bit of heroin tonight. Maybe I could do a drink tonight. Because it's been a long time, innit? Can reward myself. Been a long time. I've lit this. I've gone 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years without needing to do it. I'm far enough away from it now. I've got it under control. It's all right if I dabble a little bit. And then most of the time, then if you imagine they're in a hole of their problem. They're in a hole, right? When they're right down there in the away from massive amount of pain from their addiction, whatever that may be, they're in a hole. They can see a bit of light, but they're in a hole. They're at least 6 feet under, right? But they can see a bit of light. As they start to get away from motivation, it's like they're climbing out of the hole. They can see the sun now. It's nighttime, they can see the moon, they can see the stars. One arm is out of that hole. The other arm's still in the hole. And maybe their head and part of their shoulders are out of that hole, and they're like, oh my God, I'm out of the hole. No, you're fucking not. Your legs are still in the fucking hole. Your torso's in the fucking hole. Over half your body, probably 75% of your body is still in the hole. You are not out of the hole. This is not the time to be indulging in your drug, because guess what? This is what typically most people will do when they overindulge, when they get away from that great pain, and it's not immediate in the moment because they've had sufficient time to be away from it and they've traveled a sufficient distance. They want to reward themselves. How do they reward themselves? By doing their destructive addiction right there. And lo and behold, they have their drink, they shoot up their heroin, they take their cocaine, and they are back at the hole, starting from rock bottom all over again. So when I work with clients, I tell them the most difficult time isn't making that change to get away from your problem, the drug, the addiction, whatever that may be, physical, mental, or spiritual. That's not the problem. The problem is when you think you're doing well. The problem is when you get cocky. The problem is when you're giving yourself that pat on the old back saying, I've conquered this, which is a beautiful thing. When you've overcome something, you should reward yourself. But you don't reward yourself by doing the very thing that put you in the hole right down there in the first place. If you just joined us, say hi. Give us a wave below. Remember to share this video to people that you know would benefit from it, or groups of addiction, people suffering from addiction that would benefit from it. So the most difficult time is when people are halfway out of the hole, and they're halfway between the away from strategy, the bad one, like the fear, the devil with the poker up your bum, and they're halfway to that positive strategy of that positive thing that they want. I want to help those people, want to make that money so I can help those people, want to get in shape so I can bring more love into my life. The positive thing, they're halfway out of it. This is time and time again where people relapse because they want to pat themselves on the back and reward. You should reward yourself, but don't be a fucking idiot and reward yourself with the thing that put you in the hole to begin with. Because then you lose everything, but then you lose hope. Because there's only so many times you can fall down into that fucking hole before you stop looking up and you stop seeing the sun and you stop seeing a way out. Every time, I always say people come to me for help. The easiest time to change this thing in your life, be that addiction or what have you, is right now, this moment, this second, today. Because every second, every moment, every day, every week, every month, every year that passes, the old addiction, the old behavior, the old toxicity gets more ingrained in your mind, ingrained in your body, and becomes even harder to get out of your system. The easiest time to change is right now, not tomorrow, not a month from now, not your birthday, not Thanksgiving, not Valentine's Day, not bonfire night, not Halloween, not your wedding anniversary. No. It's right now. It's not tomorrow. It's not when you wake up. It's not the start of a new month. It's right now. It's right now. At this very moment is the easiest time in the history of your life that it will be to change this thing. It's right now. So, passion. What's passion? Passion is that thing that you wake up and you might not have had a lot of sleep. And you might go to bed late, but you wake up and you're only on 2, 3, 4 hours sleep, but you are buzzing. Not because you've got a narcotic in your system, but because you're so impassioned to go to your work, to be with your family, to work on your creative endeavour. And it's directed towards, it's like, yeah, I want to make that house for the orphan kids in Africa. I want to get up and I want to work out because I see my body and get in better shape and I'm feeling better about myself and my confidence is spreading, and this is going to be the law of attraction going to activate, so I'm going to attract my ideal mate. Things like that. That's a toward strategy. Most people will do far more to get away from their pain. Remember, the devil, the hot poker, the hole, death. Most people will do far more to get away from their pain than they will to get to their pleasure, their ultimate goal, their purpose, their reason for being, all the positive. So just using one strategy leaves you at disadvantage. If you're just using to away from being scared, running away from the fear, doing stuff to change because you're scared, it will get you so far. And then you'll run out of steam. And you'll do that vicious circle, that vicious dance all the way over and over again. And the only way you'll be able to motivate yourself to change is to hit rock bottom again. Come back, change, hit rock bottom again. Come back, change, hit rock bottom again. Relapse, 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 relapse. Not lapse, relapse, relapse, going back. Remember, a lapse is just, I had one drink. I haven't drank. I used to identify as being an alcoholic. Not me, just a metaphor. I haven't drank in 6 years. I had one drink last night. Oh my God, I've relapsed. The last 6 years, I've pissed it all away. No, you haven't. You just lapsed. Made a mistake. It was one drink. It was one mistake. Get back on the horse, get back on the truck. Everything's okay. The relapse is when you go back and you ruin the last 6 years. If you went on for another 6 or 7 years drinking, technically that would be a relapse. So lapsing is okay. It happens with most people. But relapse means going back and wasting all the time you've been doing the right thing, which rarely happens. So it's really incorrect, and it's a limited decision as well. Hey Jessica, how are you? Ashley, how are you? If you joined us, say hi, give us a wave. If you benefit from this video, or you know anyone that would benefit, or any groups on Facebook, then please do share this video with people. Now, if you're just towards, oh, well, I want to make that $1 million. Yeah, it's going to give me a better car and a better house, but then I can make that orphanage for the kids in Africa. I can get in shape and look sexy and activate that law of attraction so I can attract my old ideal partner. That's great. It's beautiful. But when you're all the way down here in the fucking hole, in the shit, that's too far away. That's too far away, and you need that's gonna pull you, but you need that rocket fuel to push you. The rocket fuel you use to push you out of that hole is the away from, that great fear. Shit, I might die if I do this anymore. I might not ever find love again. I might lose my house, my family, my job, my teeth, my life. That's effective to get you moving sufficiently out of that hole. But when you get about here to halfway, you need that towards strategy to be activated. That passion. Addiction? Get away from it. That passion. You need that passion to start pulling you in towards it. So you start to make that change. You've come out of the darkness. Now it's about creating the life that you want. And you might not have a lot of sleep. You might work crazy hours. You might not be able to engage in all the things you want to engage in. But you've got this great passion for becoming great at something, for contributing to the world, contributing to your life, to betterment, to contributing to the world, contributing to society, contributing to yourself, to creating a legacy. That's the thing that's going to keep you going. That's the passion. That's the thing that if you lose a few hours sleep, because you're working from such a beautiful place of energy, a beautiful place of being authentic, a beautiful place of activating that propulsion system. You know what a propulsion system is in engineering language? It's a system that both pushes you and pulls you at the same time. Pushes you away from the fear and pulls you at the same time towards your legacy, towards your authenticity, law of attraction, whatever it is you want that's pure, that's good, your purpose for living. So we need to utilize them both. So the difference from an addiction is we feel that we have absolutely no control. It's chosen us. All right, maybe one day we chose to do a fat line of Coke. We chose to have a bit too much of a bottle of tequila or Jack Daniels. We engaged in too much, I don't know, heroin. We made that choice, but then suddenly it chose us time and time again. We have no choice. But in fact, you do have a choice. You always have a choice. Unless there's a gun to your head, you may have seen that picture I put up a few days ago. Unless there's a gun to your head and someone says, hey, I'm going to kill you or your family or your cat or your dog. If you don't do that, then you still have a choice. It might be a shitty choice, granted, but you still have a choice. But very rarely, in fact, I've never met someone that had a real gun to their head where someone says, if you don't use that, I'm going to fucking blow your brains out. It may have felt that way. There may be a metaphor around that way. It may have felt that way, but it wasn't that way in the real world. But it absolutely may have felt that way to you. And I appreciate that. So that's addiction. You feel that it's chose you, even though you've chose it. You feel that you have no control, although you absolutely do. You feel out of control, and it's destructive. And it's just obsessing all the time. From the away from the fear, from the avoidance, from I don't want to feel, or I want to feel more. All right? That's the addiction. Whereas the passion is, I've got no sleep. Or maybe I had a few hours sleep. Don't matter. I should be tired, but I'm not. Because I'm working on something I love. I'm working on my passion. Building a legacy and a towards from value. Doing good work. Changing my body, my mind. Contributing to the world. Building something in me. Building something to contribute in society. I'm choosing this. This is my passion. This is my higher purpose. I will sacrifice sleep. I will sacrifice food. I will sacrifice water. I will sacrifice playtime. I will sacrifice air. Because this is the greater good. This is my passion. This is my purpose. I am choosing to go down this path. Because this is me. This is what I was put on earth to do. See the difference? When you look at the obsessive thoughts, they're pretty similar. However, one is pretty destructive and can fucking destroy your life and those around you, whereas one can help you to become even a better version of yourself and not only create a better environment for you, but people you love, to leave a legacy behind. So hopefully that gave you the definition Addiction versus passion. So choose wisely, folks. Are you going to choose that addiction or are you going to choose that passion? It is your choice, and I appreciate sometimes you don't feel that you have a choice, but you do. So make the right choice. Always believe.